Hello, gentlemen.
Evening, guys.
What's going on?
None much. Not fishing enough. Question already. Jesus, AJ. Give us some slack here.
Right to it, right to the point.
No, it wasn't double hooks, AJ. It's just as the spoon was falling down, it ate as it was falling multiple times. So that's why it was, I was opening the bell and trying to pop it, trying to get that hook in them. That's kind of why it keeps, I kept setting the hook and kept trying to get that fish pin. Um, Before that, James is still on his way home, so
In
you know
traffic.
yeah, we are gonna have Mr. James Snyder on here, but we're gonna let him get home first before we have him get on here to talk about West Coast and why the West Coast Championship came about. So while that's happening, how has fishing been, gentlemen? If you guys have been fishing, some of you guys haven't been fishing.
Yeah, I haven't been. I
I
think the
haven't been
last
fishing.
time I was out was what, I think Friday was Friday. Yeah. So it's been a minute. That's kind of long for me, but um it was pretty terrible actually. I think the Delta's been getting hit pretty hard, so a lot of small fish right now for me. It was actually one of my worst days on the Delta in terms of quality. Quantity is always there, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the Delta is getting hammered pretty hard right now.
yep,
All the frog tournaments, Wednesday nighters,
yep,
everything that's going on there. Fun guys that are fun fishing.
yep.
So, you know,
Yeah, I haven't fished since BBT on Clear Lake. So 2 weeks?
Yep.
BBT. Oh, the boat derby. That was same weekend as the UFC. So yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That was the last time I fished. I haven't even. I mean, I've gone out into the garage to get my dopamine fix and play with my fishing stuff, but that's about it.
You went to go rub your rods in the garage for a little bit, and then came back and
Yeah,
it's inside.
you know how it goes. Every once in a
Yeah.
while, you just got to go out there and stare at it, and you get a little
Mm-hmm.
smile on your face, and
Yeah.
smell of fishing lures, and holding your rod in your hand, retying the same fucking lure like 10 times just because you can't make up your mind.
Check it for abrasion, even though you haven't made a cast of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I fished quite a bit. It was fun the past couple of weekends. We did the food allergy derby, obviously, and then also I did do the snack
Snack
proof.
proof.
Yeah, and that was fun. Yeah, it was fun to get into a bigger boat open tournament. It wasn't really a series, so it wasn't quite like I was, you know, aiming for points or anything. But it was just fun to go catch frogfish, especially on the Delta. Which Delta's been getting interesting for me. I've been having more fun on the Delta as of recently. So, slowly picking things apart, figuring out the tide, understanding the tide and what the fish do. But by no means am I anywhere near, you know, good enough to really say anything. So,
That's how it starts. You just got to keep going.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is, on any kind of fishery, tidal, grass lake, anything, if you really only learn if you go and you learn, you go,
Time on
you
the
catch
water.
fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it
Yeah.
is.
So,
Dang, Joseph,
well,
I was hoping for a Tulloch report.
I have
yeah,
not been to Tulloch in 6 weeks, 5
Ooh,
weeks.
that's rough.
yeah.
I haven't even fished the home pond from shore in a while.
Well, I don't blame you though. Right now is it's crazy season right now on
Oh yeah.
Tolo.
Well,
Yeah.
that and like the day use area by my house has gotten blown up. So, and not in the sense of just angling pressure, but in the sense of meat eating angling pressure.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last time I went, there was a family that probably had 300 bluegill off the dock on a stringer between the 12 or 15 of them.
Jesus Christ.
There's been a couple that goes out every morning on their kayak, and every bass that they catch, they keep. So it's just like, I don't know, I went 3 or 4 times and not even a sniff. I didn't even see fish, and I was throwing a depths 250. Didn't have a follower, nothing. So
Hey, can
that
I
area,
ask you
that area
something?
is pretty barren right now.
Can I ask you something?
What?
Were they Asian?
No, actually, they were Mexican.
Okay.
You should have said dark haired.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no,
Dark dark haired.
they've been going more consistently. So like you used to see so much life on that rock wall, and dude, you don't even see a bluegill anymore. There's like none left in that area. Like everything got the message to leave
Yeah.
that
Yep.
specific dock alone. It's a danger zone.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, I mean, it's even. I think there's maybe 10 parking spots, and I don't think I've been there once this summer where there hasn't been 25 plus cars parking around the corner, parking in the dirt parking lots everywhere. There's a fat rager going on.
That's
So I
amazing.
just don't have any desire to go to that.
Well, gentlemen, I know a lot of guys here are listening. Guys are queued in here for the West Coast on Clear Lake. So I know both of you gents are competing there on Clear Lake as well. I will be there as well. Um, is there any information you guys want to give up? We haven't been there since, what is it, the qualifier event. So that was in June, correct? Or was that in
June,
it
yeah.
was yeah, so we haven't been there since. Is there anything you guys want to give up that you guys think the fish might be doing, you know, for anybody that's listening? Any kind of info? Anybody want to give anything away that they might think might happen?
Go ahead, Joseph.
I
Anyone?
mean, I'm the only one that's really fished it since June, so I gotta hold my tongue and not say too much. But
Okay.
no, I mean, honestly, right now it's
Well,
a fun fishery right now, is what I would
how
call
about
it.
how about this? Where in the seasonal transition do you think the fish are? Because I think that'll give a lot of guys that
Well,
are coming from out of
I'm not
state. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna go that level of depth because I genuinely don't think it matters on that lake as much. Um, you can fish 2 inches of water as well as you can fish 20 feet of water on that lake. And really, like the last time we fished it, when you heard top 10, top whatever go up, everybody found their own bite, right?
Yeah.
Nobody had one specific pattern that was universal for the lake. And that's still pretty much true. So when you go there and especially for the West Coast Championship, I know myself personally, I always used to get so freaked out because oh, it's Clear Lake. Oh, it's Clear Lake. I got to do X, Y, Z to catch fish and catch the right fish, right? And more and more that I fish there, the more I see that people just find water that fits their style, and then they do really well because the fish population can support that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I'll give up, whether you're concerned if it's a summer transition still or fall transition. But there's just so many fish in that body of water. As soon as you find an area that's holding fish and that suits your style, you're just going to have a great day. I mean, super common to see 22 to 25 pound bags. So I really expect us to see a lot of guys in that 95 to 105 inch range. And I expect to see quite a few really large fish on top of that.
I think the hardest thing to do on Clear Lake, in my opinion, because it's such a great fishery, is to get those fish, the fish that are over 18 and a half. That's what I think. As in, if you could get a pattern or get some sort of, water or area, whatever it may be, whether it's fishing rock or fishing tulies, punching the tulies, flipping the tulies, whatever it is, to get that average of, beyond 18 and a half inches. I think that's really where the key is, because all those fish that are under that 18 and a half inch mark, you could literally just go down the bank and you could catch them. You could go down and just, flip a drop shot on the docks and just keep hitting docks on the shaded side of the docks. And eventually you're going to fill your limit, in my opinion. And
you might actually catch that fish that you're saying is over 18 and a half inches. But
yeah,
and that's the thing that's true of most any of those bodies. And what's really hard for people who don't fish it a lot is, an 18 and a half inch average is just not going to do anything for you. And it sucks because they're all 3 to 4.5 pounds.
Yeah.
So you think you're catching solid fish, but that's just an average fish in Clear Lake. Yeah. And that's why I said fish your confidence and fish things that you maybe wouldn't. Like, should I think the biggest fish that I've heard of in the last month was caught on that Depths Air or something ridiculous 13-inch worm, wacky rigged.
I haven't heard of that yet.
You haven't heard of the Depths worm? What is that one that looks like a giant centipede that's like 13 inches?
Giant centipede. Are you sure it's a Depths? You're not talking about the evergreen?
No, it's a
evergreen
Depths.
Bowworm?
It's got like little legs and stuff, but it's giant. Like I saw it in Dave's shop. And I was like, holy crap, that's a big worm. But they were fishing that wacky on docks, and they caught an 881 for our BBT tournament. 13-inch wacky worm.
Fishing on a drop shot?
No, 13-inch wacky worm.
That's it, right?
Yeah. Depths. Yeah, Kinko worm, whatever the hell that thing is. It's big. When you see it in person, it's pretty meaty. It's like 7-inch Senko thickness, but however long that is, 12 inches, 13 inches.
So they want them big and long, huh?
Hey. It's ice queens.
Yeah.
But, and it's not just that. I mean, that's just one example of, and somebody doing something outside the box that you would probably think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it working and panning out that, 13-inch worm on a wacky rig.
For anybody wondering, there's one pack left. So if you want to get it now on Tackle Warehouse. I just seen that. I just want to point that out.
That's funny. Or you could be good Samaritans and go buy everything from Clear Lake Outdoors and Lakeport Bait and Tackle and whatever the hell the one at Redbud's called, and etc. It'll
Yeah.
probably cost you $2 more, but at least you're supporting a small little local
Yep.
business while you're in
Yeah.
town. So
Your mom and pop shop.
yes, sir.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's all. I mean, I'll say is, like you said, you can just go down a bank, and if you fish your confidence, you'll catch fish, and you might even catch fish that somebody who went ahead of you wouldn't have caught
Yeah.
because they're fishing a spinnerbait or a jig or whatever, and you're throwing a drop shot or a shaky head or whatever it is, and you're still going to catch fish.
Yeah, support your local mom and pop wearing a Taco Warehouse shirt. That's great. It doesn't help your cause tax. That's great.
You know why I have them? Because they're free.
Yeah.
But that means you didn't support the local mom and pop though.
This
'Cause
is
you
true,
had-
but I also live in the middle of nowhere, and there is no tackle shop.
Yeah,
there
there's
where I
none
would.
for tax.
I live
That's
an
funny.
hour and 15 minutes from Fisherman's Warehouse in Manteca. That's my closest fishing store.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll tell everybody what I'm doing because I don't mind. It's no secret. I'll be fishing offshore rock piles. That's me. You know, as it warms up, I'll probably move to the dock posts, the shady dock posts, and probably punch the tulies or any kind of grass around me, and that's all I'll be doing. Yeah, fishing. Yeah, just fishing. Yeah, because that's my confidence. My confidence is fishing rock, whether it's with a football jig or a deep diving crankbait. You know, maybe even that 13-inch worm. You know, a Carolina rig. You know, my confidence is fishing offshore. So that's what I'll be doing. So I have no, you know, I don't mind sharing it because there's plenty of rocket fish and there's plenty of fish to be caught. Yeah. So that's why it doesn't matter to me. But that's what I'll be doing. Unless I find something special tomorrow, you know, in the grass or something. You know, in the grass or in the docks. But
Jeez, man, keep it in. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, and Keith brings up a good point too. I will be fishing LV quite a bit because it should be that bite should be happening any second now. Because I was talking to these gentlemen, you know, in our little group chat. I was talking to these gentlemen, you know, off air and in our little chat group. I feel like the fall transition might be happening sooner than some may think because the days are getting shorter and the overnight lows are starting to really dip here, even though it's still really hot. So some of these fish, not all of them, you know, majority of fish will still be in summer, you know, summer stuff. But I feel like a lot of them are already starting to move towards that, you know, possible fall mode, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that I'm right, though. This is all speculation. It's just, you know, I spend a lot of time outside, so I see the daylight disappear.
He feels what the bass feels.
He is secretly a bass wearing a human puppet suit. That's how he
Yeah.
catches all those DDs.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the other thing, like I said, you know, treat it like that old McDonald's study, supersize it, you know?
Yeah.
If you've got a style of something that you like, let's pick on Robert, right? Robert loves to fish a drop shot, and the kid is a damn wizard at it and makes a ton of money fishing a drop shot. Probably will at Clear Lake. But I guarantee you he's not going to be fishing a 4.5-inch robo worm on a drop shot predominantly at Clear Lake. You know, he's probably going to step up to the 7-inch robo worm or, you know, at least try something slightly bigger.
You'd be surprised. I've seen him done weirder things. You'd be surprised.
Who knows what he throws on that drop shot?
You'd be surprised.
This kid just goes out and buys soft plastics, and anything and everything just goes on a drop shot.
Yeah.
Brush hog, swim baits, worms, you name it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah, the other factor is the wind. As Greg Marshall says, it is supposed to cool off. So because it's cooling off, it could bring that wind, and it could get really nasty, especially on Clear Lake. Yeah.
It's going to be real fun.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're not comfortable, don't even bother. Find a different ramp that's that's got safer, more wind protected. It gets very sketchy on Clear Lake, like very much so. Yeah, I mean, I was when we were out there last, we had like 3-footers, and it was only blowing like 8 or 10 miles an hour. But that was,
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly correct. But the way Clear Lake sets up is once that wind starts blowing from that direction and it just crosses the entire lake, it builds up waves. So
It does. The Narrows
yeah,
is especially something you don't want to mess with because it changes on a dime. I mean, there was a couple of times that we were out on the boat and the 17.5-foot Ranger felt like, well, I mean, let me clarify. I got baptized by Clear Lake in a 17-foot Ranger going through those waves. I never wanted to go swimming in Clear Lake. It's never been a goal of mine, but I literally from face to toes was completely soaked and bilge pump running out the back from waves on Clear Lake in a bass boat.
did
So
Matthew give you the rear end treatment where he was chopping those waves and your butt just hurt after riding those waves all day?
we were cutting across the north end of the lake and we had a south wind, which I feel like is the worst for wave size on Clear Lake. So when the wind's coming up from the two river arms and goes through the Narrows, it creates this like weird rippled wave effect. So you don't have sets. You've got like, like what are those things called in the ocean? The break, the jetty lines. You know how when you go right out from a jetty line or a break,
Mhm.
you get all
Yeah.
these crests and troughs
The
and
peaks.
peaks and some
Yeah.
stuff, and it's all weird. And that's what it's like when it comes out of the Narrows and spreads out into the big open area of the North Lake. And because we were running across, my side of the boat was on the cresting waves. So every time we would go through a wave, it would just crest over the sides and fall into my lap and go all over my face. And we did that for, probably like 25, 30 minutes trying to cross the lake.
Did you swallow any of that green algae? So are you
I
gonna
did.
grow? Did you grow? Are you gonna grow a third leg now?
Uh-oh.
No, I can speak Clear Lake fish now.
He speaks
It's
the
a rite of
language now.
passage. Everybody in practice has got to go drink a cup full of Clear Lake water so you can speak Clear Lake bass.
Yeah.
That's funny. That was definitely on purpose. Definitely on purpose. Matthew definitely did it on purpose. Well, gentlemen, I got a question for you guys. The three of us primarily fished the Yak-A-Bass series, to qualify for the West Coast Championship. Where was your guys' start in tournament fishing? As in, did you guys know about the West Coast, or did you guys just learn about it as you continue to fish Yak-A-Bass, and then you just heard about it from, say, Damien or from Greg or from other Yak-A-Bass anglers? Where'd you guys hear about West Coast Championship besides Greg's YouTube video or Damien's YouTube video?
You want to take it, Pua?
You mean like how West
Yeah.
Coast became about?
Well, how did you end up fishing West Coast? How did you learn about West Coast Championship?
Yeah, it was from Greg. No, so I was there at the very first one, but everything was oh, there he is, the man himself.
Man of the hour.
Finally made it. Sorry, guys.
You're
You're
good.
okay. How are you
But
doing,
yeah,
sir?
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Paul. You're good.
Yeah, but I was there during the very first annual one, and it was pretty publicized all over social media, so it was already a big deal from the very beginning when James and all the other directors got into alliance to start the West Coast Championship. It was not from Damien and or Greg.
Actually, I'm not sure if James remembers, but I qualified for the West Coast Championship my first year fishing, and I didn't even know what it was. I had to ask.
That's pretty complicated.
I didn't. I mean, when I started kayak tournament fishing, the first time I'd ever fished out of my kayak was Folsom Yak-A-Bass 2022. I had never fished out of a kayak before that. I'd never even taken the kayak that I own currently out on the water prior to that. So
John Myers is helping us out here. Tip of the show right here. If you turn your phone sideways, you'll have a full screen.
Sorry, I don't do these very often, guys.
There you go.
Joseph
That
just
Joseph's turn.
refuses.
I'm good. That means turning the mount, and then it takes forever to get to comments. If I want to see comments, I'll pass.
Yeah, I don't even know how to get to comments. I'm not going to worry about it. You guys will have to let me know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely let them know. But since the man of the hour is here, we'll get it rolling here. If anybody's got any questions, we could get them going. And also, if James wants to let us know how the West Coast came about, why have the West Coast Championship, for the kayak guys.
All right. So the guys who know me know that I like to complain more than anyone else I know. So we had Hobie, we had KBF, and we had what was the other one? The BOS.
Bass.
No, that's Bass.
Bass.
So everyone decided to pull out of the West. And I'm just like, oh crap, what's going to happen to my anglers? Like, that was on my forefront. So I reached out and started working with Richard Penny, who is my mentor through all of this. He has helped me through everything. He's the guy that if I have something going on or I'm kind of self-doubting myself, he's the guy that I reach out to, and he basically reassures me, gives me that information that I need, and kind of helps me get my mind right and figure out, okay, this is the direction we need to go. So after talking, we basically were kind of in the same thought process. Hey, you know what? We don't have anything else out here, and we need something for our anglers. So how do we make this happen? So basically, we were going back and forth a couple different times, and it got to the point of, you know what? I think we can make this a reality. So I reached out to the two most influential tournament directors at the time that had the best track records out on the West Coast, Marvin and Mark. Both of these guys knew exactly what was going on. They were all for it. So we all worked together and brought the West Coast to the West to take care of our anglers. I mean, you guys don't have enough representation out here. And this was a way for we can give back to you guys and give you that stage and that spotlight and find something bigger and better. And now it's a qualifier for the Team USA. It's freaking rad.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, we're the only non-national trail that is a qualifier. So, I mean, what else can you add?
Actually, I had a question for you.
Uh-oh.
What about having like a traveling West Coast circuit, like KBF, like all those, in parallel for the West Coast Championship?
Until it can be financially stable for a tournament director to be able to travel and do that, I think we're a couple more years out. But with us getting the trailer set up, with more anglers asking me to come down south, to go up north, I have anglers reaching out from Arizona to Nevada. Utah's taken care of. They do an amazing job. But it's one of those things where there's a want. It's just, can I make it happen? And right now, I'm just not at that point. Would I love to be able to do that for you guys? Yes. Do we have the English support for a traveling circuit yet? I don't think so. I think we don't have enough of your professional level or the higher end guys that would want to follow a traveling circuit yet.
I can agree with that. I think it's hard to have that core group of guys that are willing to jump around from California to Arizona to Washington to wherever to Utah to fish one event there, drive home, and then next week drive another 10, 12 hours to a different state and pre-fish and, do the whole ordeal.
Yeah, throughout the year. Yeah.
It's we're so stinking busy out here, and like every club has their own dates. Everyone has their own things going on, and not every club on the West Coast is going to be as, I don't know, like they're not going to be as cutthroat as some of the Yak-A-Bass guys can be. I mean, the quality of angler that we have in Northern California is amazing. And we have developed a skill set that not everyone else can keep up with yet.
Fair enough. You were gonna say, Joseph?
Nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just saying it would be cool. And I get it's a pipe dream for the future, but like you said, having a tournament once a month as that traveling circuit in Arizona, for example, to push me to go fish one of those lakes down there, or go to Lake Mead or something in Nevada, and then jump up to like Jordanelle Reservoir in Utah and stuff. Someday.
It would be amazing to do something like that. It's just how many guys can afford to do that right now?
Not
Yeah.
me. So don't
I
look at
can't
me.
afford to even make it to most of the events. So, like, I know I couldn't afford to. I work at a kayak shop.
Yeah, and I clean pools, so it's not that much better. Yeah. We'll throw this one out to you, James. Oh yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say, my question was actually kind of relative to you guys talking about having a WCC circuit, but James, have you and the other directors kind of, I guess, talk about maybe putting the actual West Coast Championship somewhere else in a possible
It's
future years?
always been so. The whole thought behind the West Coast Championship was it's supposed to travel to the different states,
Mhm.
and it's supposed to go to whoever had the winning club. But it's one of those things where California Clear Lake is kind of the middle for everyone.
Mhm.
And anytime we've brought up trying to move it, everyone's been like, why? We want to go back to Clear Lake.
Gotcha.
So it's a destination for a lot of these guys. It's an annual thing. They love making the trip. But I would love to go back to Havasu or go up to Oregon or Washington, somewhere in Idaho. Like, to me, to get to new places, I don't get to go do that very often. So to have that opportunity would definitely be something I would be interested in.
Mhm.
But it's also whoever is going to host the event does a lot of the work.
Right.
And a lot of these guys don't want to do that extra work on top of their other series.
Mhm.
So we all kind of break it down, and we all have our niches that we do really, really well. Marvin is our webmaster. He does phenomenal. He's better with numbers than almost anyone else I know, other than maybe Alden. But it's just one of those things. We work really well as a team, and you need a team to be able to put on an event like this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for the guys that don't know, it's not Marvin Goda, it's Marvin Lave, right? Or do I have that opposite?
Marvin
Forte.
Forte.
Forte. Yeah,
Forte.
sorry. There it is. I didn't even know my facts either.
Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
So it's not the Marvin that we see at the native event down here on Clear Lake. It's a different Marvin. Although we did see him as well.
He was there. Yeah.
He was there. Yeah. So
yeah,
for the California guys.
Marvin Forte came down, helped set up for the big native event. So he was down here already. Most of you guys already know him. And he's the one that hosted the event up in Washington at Potholes, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right, here you go. This one's probably more for James. I mean, us as the guys that fish, we understand, but why don't the big circuits come out here?
This is a double-edged sword. So one, we don't back a lot of them. Like, anytime they were coming out here, we had terrible numbers. Kayak Fishing Northwest. So we had lackluster numbers. We weren't getting guys that were wanting to sign up. There was a lot of backlash. So it's not financially stable for them to make the trip out here. And after a year or two of them realizing that not coming out here, they're not bringing the guys from the East Coast out here. So it's a standalone event. So it really has no bearing on Angler of the Year or anything like that. So for them, it's just a one-off event. So is it worth the financial sense to do that? And I would love to have the guys come back out here. I've offered to help with the events. I've offered to give them my permits, everything. And it just hasn't happened, but hopefully in the future it does, because these guys coming back is a great opportunity for you guys.
Well, to kind of add on to that, I'll throw everybody under the bus because basically, last year's West Coast Championship, KBF was also here, and we had 30 or 40 guys sign up for the KBF.
Yeah.
And KBF is a big circuit. If you want to call it a big circuit, it is a big circuit. And there's only 40 guys that signed up out of the however many West Coast guys that were there. So, it's really strength in numbers. And I am throwing everybody under the bus, but that's just one of that's basically the biggest reason why they don't come back out here.
It's all numbers. It's money. If it doesn't make financially sense, they're not going to invest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry, everybody. You can hate on me. Everybody at the anglers.
So the events like Native, where we're showing that we're bringing 200 plus guys, that's eye-opening for the big series. And that's the kind of stuff that we need to keep happening out here. The bigger the events we can produce, that's more appealing for the big guys to make that trek out here and to bring out all their sponsors and the sponsor money and everything else. So we have to show up.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. This is definitely talking about West Coast Championship locations, and I would definitely agree. Columbia River would be great for us to go fish. I agree completely. Yeah.
It's just how many people are willing to make the trek to the Columbia River versus Clear Lake. That's kind of been the whole dilemma.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Especially all the guys like way down south.
Yeah. And I mean,
Like
we had a
Arizona
drop
guys.
last year with the Delta.
Yeah. Yeah, even the Delta was rough last year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In terms of numbers.
But that's also because it's the Delta. Like, my first year at WCC was Clear Lake when Clear Lake was absolute trash. I mean, I forget how many people skunked that trip. It was a brutal tournament, and we still had 170 something people.
I don't think we've been that high.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that high.
At 140s, I think, is the highest that we've done. The Native event destroyed us as far as numbers. Like, we were going back and forth for a year or so, and this year they came out and 200 anglers, amazing. Hats off to the guys. I'm glad I could come down and help and support. But we've got a lot of work to do to be able to constantly hit 200 plus anglers for a one-time event.
Okay, so then how many anglers were there then? 120, 130?
Yeah, I think it's under 150. I know that for a fact. I'm bad with numbers, so yeah.
I'll tell you right now. Last year, when some young guy won the Delta, the West Coast, it was 87 for the West Coast.
Yeah,
that was last year. I'm looking at this off Tourney X. So that was last year, and I cannot. West Coast Championship 2022. It was a total of 125 in 2022.
Gotcha.
So numbers, it's still good numbers. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of people fishing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not quite that Native numbers where it's 100, 220 boats or 230 boats, however many we had during the Native event. So, yeah. And then West Coast 2021 was 105 anglers. So,
gotcha.
Averaged about 120 anglers, I would say. Yeah. Which is still good. So.
It's better than average, and the nice thing is it's multiple states coming together and doing this. It's not just our local club in our local area. You have I believe it's 8 different states and 7 to 10 clubs total.
Yep.
And we get bigger
Here-
next year.
Here's a good question. Why not cap it at 100 anglers?
So putting a cap on a championship where we have almost 500 qualified anglers, it's kind of one of those things that's not going to be fair for everyone involved. There's a lot of money that you guys are going to spend to get out there between time off work, Airbnbs, practice, baits, all of your kayak stuff. I want to produce an event that is going to give you the highest return on investment possible. And that's where having multiple events going at the same time has always worked out in favor. I know not last year, but the year before, I think I ended up paying Cayman like $16,000 for this one week.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah. I don't remember how much Mr. Some young guy up there won.
It wasn't that much, but
It's still better than a normal tournament
yeah.
average.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely better.
Well, and that was the delta when we were missing 50 anglers, so that adds
Yeah.
up to
Yeah,
quite a
that's
bit
what's
of
up.
purse money.
So, what's next for West Coast Championship? Is there anything that's in the works that you guys are thinking about doing that's crazy? You know, or are you guys just gonna keep it going for now and let it roll and see what happens?
I mean, this year is going to be a little different. Marvin can't make it down. He's in the process of moving, so it's just going to be me and Mark at physically there. So Marvin's going to be helping with a little bit of judging and verifying fish and answering questions. I'm hopefully going to get out and fish for a little bit, which I haven't been able to do for a few years, so I'm kind of jazzed about that. But other than that, like we just want to keep this rolling. We want to try and make it as big as possible. We're hoping that after this year, we can bring in a lot bigger sponsors and hopefully add to the prize purse for you guys.
There's your
How about
answer.
more sponsorships?
Yeah.
Sponsorships in the fishing sector have been getting harder and harder to get. So, and that's not just for the anglers, that's for tournament like organizers and clubs. When I first started doing Yak-A-Bass, I had 20 or 30 really good sponsors. We're down to a handful that have stuck around. And it's not because they didn't get the ROI, it's their marketing budgets have changed. So we have to wait until those marketing budgets either can be adapted for fishing tournaments again, or we have to adapt to get those dollars. So that's where we're in that weird transition phase of figuring out, okay, a lot of money is going to influencers and professionals, but how do we get that to the organizers to give to you guys? So it's a battle and we're still trying to figure it out.
It also doesn't help when a big corporate buys all these companies. You can't really pull these companies to give you sponsor dollars when it's all owned by one company. For example, GSM.
Yeah.
You can't pull that Yamamoto to give you some money and then pull that Phoenix Rods to give you a rod or something for the West Coast. Now you got to go through just GSM. Well, it's no longer GSM now; it's something else. GSM got bought out as well, but still, it's the same thing. You can't. The corporates are too big, so it's hard to pull sponsors anywhere.
Yeah, and the big money is always going to be from non-endemic sponsorships. And to be honest, most of that has always come from the anglers. You guys have more reach in your local communities than we ever will. And usually it just takes, hey, I've got so and so down the street. He runs a pizzeria and he's looking at trying to sponsor something. Here's his information. And that's usually the best way for us to get sponsorships to bring in more money for you guys is just from a little bit of help. And it's just 3 of us trying to make phone calls. So if we have a little bit of direction, it usually goes a long way.
Absolutely. Sorry, scrolling through the questions. You guys got anything for James here?
Joseph?
Well, how about we do this since we don't like dead air? How about we hurt some feelings? Who are your picks? Who are your picks, James? Your
Oh
top
man.
5 picks.
All
Just
right,
give
so
me
I
five.
haven't I haven't
Uh-oh.
seen who signed up, so I'm just going based off of previous years,
You can
and
just go based off who qualified. I think it's probably fair to say.
I'll
Yeah.
try my best.
Yeah.
So you're never going to be able to cancel out Matthew Brandon. That's his home lake. Like that's always going to be a sore subject for a lot of guys. Greg's always out there. You can't forget Pua. No, it's not the Delta. Okay, I
It's
want
not the
to say
Delta.
Pua.
So
Um,
no, it's
so
some young guy, not
Yeah.
Pua, some young guy.
Damien's another great one. I mean, and there's so many more from California, but you got to look at Bryce Gibbs is always another good one. Bradley Cunin, I think is how you say his last name. Lance Engel, Dan Zimmershed are amazing anglers. Um, oh God, I'm talking.
Camison.
Yeah, Cayman Rasmussen is another great one. If Cody was still around, he would always be there in the top. So it's just one of those ones where who gets luckiest, but with the most skill.
Yeah, Alex
Alex
Cox.
Fox, yeah, that's another great one.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't make the list. Underdog. I'd rather be the underdog. Does USA Kayak have any pull for the qualifying events for sponsorship? So I'm guessing he's referring to the um, US qualifier kayak side of it.
So they're still in their infancy, so they're still starting, coming in about. They're still trying to build the series and get it all situated. So I think they're still even trying to build their sponsorships. It Nothing has been brought to our attention. I can definitely reach out and see if there's something in the future. But just to have the opportunity to be a qualifying series right now is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I know Damien's going to be going out there soon, at least from here.
Yeah.
Damien, also Anthony Garcia is going out there.
G Team, he's another one that you guys are going to really have to worry about. And even his dad, Gilbert, is a stick.
Yeah. Gilbert is also a stick.
Yes, sir.
All right. Where did it go?
Oh.
I'm trying to find it here. There it is. That's what I was looking for. A frog derby for us California guys. Sorry, with the West Coast, but
All right. So another sore subject. Every time there's been a frog only tournament, it usually draws less than like 30 people. So financially, it just hasn't been worth it. But if we don't want to worry about trophies and that kind of stuff, and we just want to throw together something, it'd be really easy to make something happen for you guys. It just depends on what you want in return.
I think the hardest part about a frog tournament, especially in an open launch format,
Oh no, we'd have to go to single launch.
is policing it because it's just on a kayak derby where it is a public where we typically do an open launch, right? It's extremely hard to police the guys that could just pull out punch
Senko.
rod and just or a Senko and just punch 3 fish for 18 inches and win the derby. So
And I was just thinking about it too. How about you do instead of a frog tournament, a Senko tournament? That would probably draw numbers.
Oh God.
I'm all for these like fun one-off events. It's just we have to figure out when we can get them in the series, so that way we're not stepping on anyone else's toes.
Right.
Oh, drop shot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was
go.
even thinking like,
God.
the food allergy tournament that we have every year is not really for money. It's mostly going to support a good cause. So maybe that's another opportunity to explore for Senkos only or something, or frog only, or whatever it is. Just make sure that everybody's fishing the same thing to even the odds and really test skill on whatever it is that you're allowed to fish for the tournament. And since it's for charity anyway, people may still show up.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is Dean goes to college next year. I don't know if that event's going to continue. I really hope it does. because he does such a phenomenal job. And this was the first year I could have made it, but I got told no. And then 2 days later, I got told I can go fish a tournament with Greg. So I don't know. But
Hey, congrats on that finish, by the way.
Yeah.
it
Top
was
10.
all up to Mr. Tax, the Croatian frog.
Oh yeah.
That's what Greg calls it in the whole time. So
The
hopefully,
Croatian frog.
the Croatian frog.
You know,
That's funny.
it's made by Molix, which is an Italian company.
Oh no, I explained that, but it was one of those things we didn't want to give up all the juice until the very end, and it was just one of those things where he just kind of stuck with it. It was like, okay, cool, this is now the Croatian frog.
Yeah, just
That's
ran
kind
with
of
it.
funny.
Man.
I'm curious, what did he think of it as the Delta fisherman?
He was actually really amazed. He's like, do not put that thing down. It works great. I mean, on day one, it really gave us some clutch fit. Day two, I couldn't keep anything pinned. I tried a couple other frogs, but they wanted something super slow, and that's just not me.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
These
so
guys
thank
over
you.
here were making fun of me for Littlefoot and Bigfoot and all this other crap, and I was like, nah, that's all junk. I'm going to go through the effort to order some frogs from Croatia because nobody has them in stock.
You'll get your
They
frog
came in-
back up at Clear Lake, too. It's okay. You
Oh,
can
no,
have it back.
keep it, man. Keep it. Keep fishing it. They got legs on Tackle Warehouse at least, so you can get some replacement legs, but otherwise you're SOL.
Yeah, for the guys wondering, we might as well say it on here. It's the Molix. Gosh, how do you pronounce the name?
Be
Joseph?
quiet. Just be quiet.
It's the
You guys already said
Croatian
it.
frog.
It's the Molix Supernado.
Yeah, there it is. The Super Nano.
Yeah, it's a pretty slept-on bait. Nobody really buys them. I almost am worried that they're discontinuing it, but it's by far the best buzz frog on the market.
Yeah,
It
that's
sounds like a whopper plopper. Like when I bet you the first time you threw it and you reeled it back, James, you're like, what? It's loud.
It was loud. It was a little bit louder than like a horny toad, at least for me, the way that I was fishing it. So for me, it was just straight 4-wheel drive. Like I'm throwing it in stuff I would never even think about throwing that style of frog in, because I knew it was going to be weedless. I was going to get it in the really nasty thick stuff.
I have a feeling that Matthew.
That wasn't me, Amanda.
That's Matt. Yeah.
that wasn't me. That was you guys.
It's okay, Matt. Literally no stock of anything. So they had stock of the frogs for like one day, and now it's back ordered to oblivion.
Well, the way that I feel about it is these baits that are really good need to be talked about so that they don't stop producing them. Because I mean, look at so many good baits that people don't talk about that just disappeared because nobody talks about them. You know, so if you guys really want, good baits to continue to be made by the same manufacturers, the same way they've always been made, you got to talk about them so that people buy them. They can't.
I may argue against what you're saying because I think there's other baits out there too where I think people are just constantly buying them out and they're not even being talked about. So there's that too.
That is true.
Yeah.
It's okay. The next time Tackle Warehouse has in stock, they won't after I see it. So you're not going to get a chance to buy them anyway. And I hope they discontinue them because I'll have all the stock. So
It's a cool little frog, but I mean, it is what it is.
That's funny.
I like so I was throwing that and then the Spro frog, and they both have their own uniquenesses, but I almost think I would prefer to throw the Spro frog in the long run, but it wasn't nearly as heavy as the Croatian frog. So I needed that extra heavy or the extra weight to get it into the junk that I was fishing.
Yeah. Or even skip it or some wood. Get it a little bit further back there.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't own one yet. Maybe you'll give me one tomorrow, Joseph, so I could test it out tomorrow.
I can't wait to see that video, James.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
to see that.
I'm
Frog only
afraid he's
tournament.
having a hard time editing it because I don't always have the nicest of language. So he's probably trying to work around me. And then me having to
F-bombs galore.
work on the motor the whole time. So it's like I'm laying down. So I don't know if he's having to blur out butt crack and that kind of stuff. So who knows?
From our good old chef
Uh-oh.
here, team tournament format.
So
You know,
it's still in the process. I need to sit down and talk with Mr. Bryant because this is kind of his idea. I know it's going to be 2-man teams. You're going to be stuck with the same 2-man teams for the entire series. If you decide you don't want to fish with your partner, then you're fishing alone. From there, I don't know. We're still kind of talking, trying to throw some stuff back and forth, seeing what sticks. We're always welcome to your guys' input. So if you have ideas or things that you want to see in the series, it's still being put together. So I'm all for it.
by chance, I have a question. Since Amanda is here as well, she might be able to chime in here. So for the West Coast Championship, what is the percentage of the anglers that qualify? Is it the top 25 for the USA? Do you guys happen to know?
That would be a manned up question, I think.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And also, that's qualifying to go fish the qualifier,
Yeah.
to be part of the team. It's not actually to be part of the team; it's to qualify to qualify, qualify to qualify.
Qualify to qualify.
Yeah, I think that's how Anthony got on, basically, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
He used his qualifier from the West Coast Championship, went back east, and then made the team from that.
yeah,
Yep.
and that's where Pua bombed, but some young guy came back.
Yeah.
Was that the death and rebirth?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. The death of Pua Yang and rebirth of some young guy.
Yeah, Pua died at Lake Murray.
That's funny. Well, gentlemen,
Metaphorically, sorry. He metaphorically died at Lake Murray.
well, West Coast wise, gentlemen, is there anything you guys would like to add on?
Yeah, I'm curious. Pua, who's your vote for top 5? Let's
Top
break some
5.
hearts.
Yeah, top
Oh, yeah,
5.
we should break some hearts.
I think I can't choose between 1 and 2. So I'm just gonna say their names first. Alex Cox, Anthony Garcia. And then I'm gonna say Damien. 4, I'm going to have to say Matt Brannon. No offense, Matt. You're still number 1 to me. And then number 5. Number 5, I'm going to have to say Bryce Gibbs.
Hopefully he makes it.
Yeah, I mean he signed up, so
Oh, good.
yeah,
Perfect. Hopefully he brings his kid.
nice. Yeah.
All right, Max, break some hearts.
I don't know enough guys, so I'm gonna just say myself. Forget the rest of you guys.
Top
I'm
5.
gonna win it. No, I'm just kidding. You know, in my pick, I would have, Damien's gonna be up there. Damien's always in contention. Anthony Garcia is always in contention. So knowing those guys from California, definitely have to choose those guys. Alex Cox also up there. Bryce Gibbs. I don't know if I'm gonna pick Matt on this one because I feel like Matt's been having a rough year tournament fishing wise. So I don't know if I'm gonna pick Matt. Instead, I'm gonna throw in a wild card and I'll throw Robert in there
Oh, God, you're so right.
because
Kid's on a roll.
Yeah, he
just
is.
because he's been fishing really good this year. Where the luck of his draw has been going very well for him. I think is the best way to say it. So I think he'll, even if he doesn't win, he'll do very well in the event, in my opinion. And a lot of guys are going to forget it's a 2-day event. So it's consistency between 2 days, and drop shotting will consistently get you the fish you need for 2 days.
Technically,
That's
3
the
if
way
you're
I see it.
fishing Yak-A-Bass as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
so
I hate that I'm giving this as a reminder, but remember, day one now doesn't matter because we don't have Lakeport. So day two is day one of a 2-day tournament and the end of day two for a 2-day tournament. So
It'll
just
be a
pay
little
attention to that. But anyway, I shouldn't have said anything. Screw you guys. I'm
Oh,
Who
gonna.
are
we'll
your
put it
picks?
out there beforehand.
No, I'm
Who are
not.
your picks, Joseph?
My goal is just to do better than I have done. So far, my first WCC I did 12th, and this time last year I did 5th. So if I can stay on that trend, I'll be extremely happy. But realistically, I'm going to say Drew Bow and Matthew are going to be up there fighting for 1 and 2. Damian Tao is definitely going to be one in contention as well. Potentially Anthony Garcia. I would say he would be up there. And honestly, I don't know that I'm going to pick any of the outer staters this year. I think we'll probably see, like you said, Robert up there with this drop shot. But I don't think that you're going to see a lot of people do extremely well from out of state that haven't been fishing it since the water has been up in the last 2 years.
I think it'll be fair game, in my honest opinion. Those are just guys that I know, but it really is anybody's game, in my opinion.
And the biggest thing is a lot of the out of state guys have an advantage because a lot of them take the entire week off. They're going to be
That
up
is
there
true.
probably Monday, Tuesday, and start pre-fishing. So they're going to hit it hard. They're going to know more of the lake than what we do, or what you guys do, because I'm out fishing. They're going to have more eyes. They're going to work together. So they realistically have the advantage. Even though we have home turf advantage, they're going to be able to do a lot more pre-fishing than most of our guys because everyone has day jobs for the most part. And then they've got family to take care of.
I agree.
Yeah.
But you did bring up a good point. Drew Bowes will probably end up doing well.
Yeah.
I feel like he's still on the same fish that he won that qualifier event with. So if he can maintain that school of fish or that average of fish, he can definitely win the event off 95 inches ish
Well,
a day.
this also just goes back now to the multiple times that I've been out there and the multiple times that I've seen the disparity between people that are on fish and people that aren't, right? Like I was saying, an 18.5 fish is average. And you may not know better to move on from that. And you'll see it in tournament weights, right? The majority of the 91 boat field that we fished against was between 14.4 and 17.3. It's 60-something boats. So that's also just something to keep in mind. And that's why I would say, like, if you haven't been tracking what's happening locally, if you haven't been following the tournaments, the weights, the average sizes of what people are catching, if you're an outer stater and don't look at that stuff, you may miss that your 4-pounder that's 19 inches isn't necessarily enough to be a big fish on Clear Lake, if that makes sense.
What do you mean by no Lakeport, Joseph?
What do you mean no Lakeport? What did I say no Lakeport?
The tournament, Lakeport Bait and Tackle Tournament.
Yeah.
No Lakeport bait and tackle this year.
Yeah. He's referring
I
to
saw
the
that
tournament.
from you.
Yeah.
I saw that
he's
from you.
referring-
Is that true, James? We don't have Lakeport bait and tackle this year?
Unfortunately, there was a clerical error with Department of Fish and Game. They weren't able to get their permit. So they're not able to do it this year. They're still going to be there. They're still going to be open. They're still going to come to the awards. They still want to support you guys. It's just,
Awesome.
Unfortunately, they had a mishap with just trying to get their permit. So it is what it is. We still want to take care of them. So if you can swing through, pick up a couple baits. Oh God, it's Matt. We're all in trouble.
We've been talking too much. Yeah.
He must
Sorry,
be getting good.
Amanda
Father
didn't tell
Bass
him
is
everything.
on.
Amanda didn't tell him everything, right, Amanda?
Whatever. I'm
You got
gonna
her
get a
back.
lecture. I guarantee you, we show up at our Airbnb and I'm gonna get a lecture.
Yeah, I can't
It's
wait
okay.
for that.
It's okay. That'd be interesting.
Tax your top 5, or did you already say it? Oh yeah, he
Oh,
did,
I
huh?
just
Yeah,
got corrected because Drews
Yeah.
didn't qualify for WCC.
Oh,
Just throw yourself in there.
yeah.
I don't
Have
think I'm going to
confidence.
do that well. If I'm lucky, I'm aiming for position number 5, so I stay as good as I did last year. But Clear
You have to
Lake is one of those lakes where, like, I'll do really good one day, and then the next day I can't even catch a catfish. So
Yep. You have to shoot higher in order to land at 5th. So you got to shoot for first to land at 5th.
nah, I have to be able to land a fish first.
I forgot to add another guy to my list. I mean, I know you said top 5, but Cayman Rasmussen. He's won it 1 year, so you know that guy. He's good. So
I believe Cayman won it the year when you guys had that really bad blue-green algae bloom, right?
yeah,
And the water was extremely low, and
Yeah. So it'd be kind of similar. It would be kind of similar conditions minus the fact that water is really high.
no, because the
No.
average air temperature has been lower this year at
Yep.
Clear Lake than
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
that year. So the
Gotcha.
algae, while still absolutely disgusting, and after taking a bath in Clear Lake, my wife wouldn't touch me, but it's nothing compared to 2022. Nothing.
No.
Not even
Gotcha.
remotely close to as bad.
Yeah, definitely anybody's game, Isaiah.
Yep.
Definitely.
True.
Does anyone know the smoke? Like how bad the smoke is around Clear Lake? Is it clear skies? Is it starting to get smoky at all? Because that usually helps to get rid of some of the algae.
Yeah, it's been when Matt and I were there on Saturday, I was shivering. We were both wearing jackets. So 2 Saturdays ago. Morning time temps were like low 60s, and daytime highs were like low 70s in the middle of July. And it was because you could just see the cloud of smoke, obviously not at water level, but just coming up over the mountain range and just blocked out the sun for the entire lake. And again, this was 2 weeks ago, so I don't really know, but it was kind of crazy how that affects the lake. You'd be surprised when the air temperature drops to where Matt and I were both shivering thinking about bibs in the middle of July on Clear Lake to, whatever it is, probably dropped 5 or 6 degrees, no sunlight, no nothing, just really strange couple of series of events to be fishing in. And I'm sure with this cold drop again and everything else, it's going to be extra weird.
All right, James. I got 2 more questions for you, and we're probably gonna wrap up the show here because I think these are great questions. Hardest part about being a term director for Yak-A-Bass?
Oh boy. Keeping myself in check when dealing with you guys. I have recently, it's gotten out of control again, but it used to be really, really bad. And then I got it reined in, and then the last year or so, I've kind of stepped back into it. I need to step back, make sure that I'm thinking versus just speaking. So, but other than that, it's just the time that it takes. I mean, you guys got to figure for a single event, it's going to run me at least 30 to 60 hours before that even happens, just to make sure that it happens and everything happens or everything works and all the puzzle pieces come together at the end.
All right. And
So
the last
vote
one
yes
is
on his pay increase.
I'm not worried about the money. Not yet.
from Dan himself.
Oh, man.
What's going to happen in 5 years?
Right now, I just want to think about what's going to happen next year. So we've been working on the trailer. We finally got that put in our name. So Yak-A-Bass now owns a trailer. Yak-A-Bass now owns a golf cart. We're looking for a battery sponsor for it. So We also own a dynamic dolly, so we're going to be able to start launching people at a lot of these events. So
Oh, that's
that's
awesome.
something that's going to come. With the trailer, we're going to be able to do more media for you guys. My goal is with now having Sean do a lot of the MC work, I'm going to be able to sit in the back and do walk up music, make it more fun and make it more of an event for you guys. Yeah, we're just doing fishing tournaments, but let's have some fun again.
I agree.
That's my biggest thing is I want to see you guys come into the awards again. I want the old feeling that we used to have where it was we go camp, we have a good time, we get up and fish, and then we're all brothers at the end of the day. That's what I
Yeah.
want to see happen again.
Honestly, I kind of miss the shotgun chaos.
I do too. I want to bring it back. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm going to propose is at least a few events next year. We need to go back to a single launch because it's more fun.
Well, and then
We should
everybody
make that
is presented the same deck of cards roughly. Then you know what I mean. And it makes it easier for you to pre-fish for the working man and everything else. But anyway, that's just my 9 to 5, if that. But really, like 9 to whenever they tell me to stop.
Well,
And
what's going to end up happening is Pool's going to start whipping asses at the boat ramp because they're going to be fighting for him at his spot. If we did, they'll be fighting for the same spot.
problem
if
with
we did
that
a
is-
shotgun launch.
Pua gets up before literally all of us combined. Pua's gone before the average person wakes up to go to a tournament. All right. Like if we have 5 a.m., lines in or something, or first light launch or something, this kid's on the water by like 3:30.
Yeah, sounds about right.
No.
Well, he's been practicing Muay Thai, so I'm just saying he's got an advantage if we were to fight.
Yeah,
at the boat ramp.
don't mess with him and let him get to his spot early.
We could have Sean be the MC, like the ref MC, and have a pay-per-view at the boat ramp. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Get Yak-A-Bass numbers to go quite a fair amount because it'll show a lot of interest.
So, and then another thing that I want to do for Yak-A-Bass in the upcoming years is I'm hoping to be able to, we're going to go to our own insurance next year.
Nice.
So no more KBF event or no more KBF memberships. So we're going to have to increase that kind of stuff a little bit. We're going to have to increase our memberships just to make sure we take care of that. And then what was the other thing? I had it in the tip of my tongue. Brain fart. Sorry, guys. But yeah, going to our own insurance next year. So, and that's $40 or 50 or whatever it is that you guys will be able to save and use for next year and go from there. So we're keeping it in house. Yeah,
Nice.
keep fishing fun again.
Are we
That's
going to
great.
continue to use Tourney X indefinitely, or are we going to go to Fishing Chaos at all?
Oh, we've talked about it.
Yeah,
We've
no.
given you guys the votes.
No.
As a director, Fishing Chaos is way better. It does more information on the back end. It is what it is. But for the anglers, because that's what you guys are used to, I'm not going to change it up on you. We're going to leave it with Tourney X unless you guys make the decision. This is your club. I'm just here kind of being told what to do.
I was just curious, is like the fee different for Fishing Chaos versus Tourney X? And
So
I've never fished a Fishing Chaos tournament. I'd have to defer to these guys. But
this is more an Amanda question, but I believe at least the last time I looked into it, it was $5 a month per angler or whatever it was. But it allowed you to fish as many events that you want that month without having to pay extra. So say we have 2 events in 1 month and Bass Angler Magazine has another event. That could be 3 events that you could fish for that one fee versus $650, $650, $650.
so for all of you that want bigger purses without spending more money, Fishing Chaos.
Yes. Fishing Chaos would put more money in your guys' pocket.
Extra $5 per angler. If we continue to average whatever that is, 120 anglers, that's an extra $600 in the purse.
Mm-hmm.
I would be fine with that because my monthly stats are in Fishing Chaos anyway. So I have a bunch of wins there that I could really put to use for sponsorship reasons.
I mean,
So it
I
works for
would
me.
even see like if you guys want to do one of the series. So we're gonna have 3 series next year. We're gonna have the Yak-A-Bass normal series. We'll have the Gamblers and the team series. If you want to do one series on Fishing Chaos, we could try that too. But I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. I'm not gonna just make that decision. It's your guys' club. You make the decisions. I'll just make sure it happens.
Hey, if you have 3 circuits running annually and somebody wants to fish them all, right? That's $15 a month just to use Tourney X versus $5 a month. Maybe, something to think about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe we can vote on that at the end of the year and see what we think. I've never used Fishing Chaos, so I don't know anything about it. But I was just curious if there was an advantage to one or the other, and you explained that Fishing Chaos is better, at least from a cost perspective.
A cost perspective, you have more information on the back end as the tournament director and judges. I have a great relationship with Dwayne. He does a great work or great thing. He produces a great product. It's just sometimes there's issues, but what doesn't have issues?
Right.
So I mean, we all just work through it.
Absolutely. All right. Mr. Sean Beach himself, shall we end on this, gentlemen? Who wants to go first?
I don't math.
What are your guesses for 2-day total for West Coast?
What positions? 1 through 5, or just number 1?
Winning,
Let's just go for
I would
go
say.
for win.
Winning bag, yeah.
Winning bag for 2-day total.
198.75.
198.75. So that's what, 98 and a half? Am I doing math right?
I don't math.
It's like 98 and change, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I'm Asian.
Very
But
possible.
go ahead, continue. Once a guess. What?
I'm gonna say 189 and a half.
Wow.
Joseph?
We're gonna play a very different game here, because I see so many 25-pound bags. I'm gonna say that without a doubt it'll be 200 inches. I'm actually gonna say 202.7.
Interesting.
5. It's a little bit over 100-inch average a day, I think, is what it's going to take the W. And that's somebody who's literally only fished at Clear Lake in the last month.
So I would agree with you on the 200-inch bag. However, because it's a kayak field and guys are going to be fishing on top of each other more, I think you're going to have to drop the total weight down a little bit more. So I think it's probably going to be closer to 95 a day. It is what my guess is. So what is that? 95, about 190?
190, yep.
No, 95. Yeah, 190. You're right.
Yeah. That would be my guess. Right around 190 to 195 would probably win for 2 days.
See, I really think somebody is going to get a Mondo bag one day or another.
Yeah, but they could also flop the following day, as you can attest.
Yeah, but I still feel like flopping on Clear Lake is like 96 inches to 93 and a half, maybe 94 inches. But I really expect at least one angler to have well into the 100 inches, because when you find a school of fish, right?
Yeah.
And they're all 6-pounders or they're all 5.5-pounders. That's a 21-inch fish all day. I don't care if they're short and stocky at Clear Lake. So, you're looking at 21-inch fish, and if you can catch 5 out of that school, that right there is 105 inches.
It's not easy to make 100 inches.
Nope.
That's all I'm saying.
It hasn't been done very often, especially out here.
I fish a lot of monthlies, and it takes me a lot of time to get to 100 inches.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Unless you go to Texas, right?
Florida's where it's at. Yeah,
Yeah.
for the 100-inch bags.
They're really long in Florida.
Yeah. You got 3-pounder that's 24 inches long.
Yeah.
It's really hard to beat Florida.
24-inch
Yeah.
post-spawn fish.
Yeah. When you get a 10-pounder in California, it's 24 inches, but you get a 3-pounder in Florida, it's 24 inches.
Shit.
So, all right, gentlemen, I think we're gonna wrap it there. Unless you guys got any second
No, I
questions.
just want to say thank you to James for all that you do for us.
Thanks,
I really
James.
appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward
Thank you too, James.
to seeing you at West Coast Championship at Awards. And again, can't say thank you enough for all that you do.
I'll be up Thursday, so hopefully I'll see a few of you on the water.
Sounds good.
Thank you,
I
sir.
guess the last thing I should say is don't forget to check for approved list of launches on the West Coast
Yes.
Facebook page, because they will be updated and approved as it goes on. I'm assuming, right, James?
Yeah, so if you guys have a launch that is not listed, right now is the time to get it added, because once we get further in, we're not going to be able to add them. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is the guys fishing just Yak-A-Bass. So we have off the water for West Coast Championship Thursday at noon. Anyone fishing Yak-A-Bass has to be off the water at noon on Thursday. And then Friday, whatever, I'm bad with numbers. So if it's 3 o'clock that you have to be off the water for the West Coast Championship, Yak-A-Bass guys pre-fishing have to be off the water at the same time. There's no way that we can keep an eye on it and keep track of what tournament you're fishing. So we follow the West Coast Championship off limits times.
So Yak-A-Bass guys are still able to pre-fish Friday.
They can
But they
still
have to-
pre-fish Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they have to be off the water by the time day one ends for the West Coast guys.
Yes. And then
Gotcha.
obviously if you come across a guy fishing the West Coast, give him the room. That's his water at that point. Or work together or whatever you guys want to do, but don't spot block. I mean, that's not fair to anyone, especially since they probably found it before you.
Well, there you guys go. Last second info right there. Came in clutch.
Yep.
Yep. So get off the water Thursday at noon, and we'll see you all Friday morning.
Go support your local businesses up there, guys.
Yep.
I got to turn this shirt inside out. You didn't see anything.
It says Lakeport on it.
Well, it's not even just the taco shops. I mean, you've got pizzerias, you've got the local fast food places. It's a community that is driven by anglers. So let's go out there. Let's support them. Let's make sure that they know that we're in town and they're going to want us to come back.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And with that, we're going to end it there. So I just have to throw this up there. Support the local liquor stores.
Exactly.
I'm sure a lot of that will be happening.
Thanks for joining us, James.
Thanks,
Thanks
James.
for having me, guys. This is probably one of the only ones I've done, and it was a breeze. I appreciate everything you guys have done.
Thank you, sir.
Likewise, sir. And thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take it easy, all.